Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 1010. 1010. I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Heather in San Diego.
Heather is here in place of Chris, who is in our live chat because we're doing this on a live stream, everyone. We're going to live stream all of our episode reviews this year as per usual. But Chris is out of town in Amherst, Nova Scotia. Mm-hmm. Birthplace of Confederation. Not actually.
Not at all.
At all. But closer to it than we are now.
That's true, yes.
In Atlantic Canada. So Heather has very ably stepped in on the West Coast. The best coast, from what I understand.
These days, well, either coast is good these days, but
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
To talk
As
about
a fellow coastal elitist like me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. To talk about Disney's Doctor Who as presented by BBC, the Robot Revolution. I want to ask you first, though, Heather, because you're in San Diego and you were at the opening of the Comic-Con Museum World of Wonder thing, and you did a panel even there, this weekend as well. Like, you've been all over that.
I did. Yeah, it's been a very Doctor Who weekend. We at Galley, talk about Galley hookups. We were approached by the director of education at the Comic-Con Museum, Stacy and I, our podcast, Read the Squee, and asked if we wanted to participate in some of their educational stuff.
Right.
And, we had to think long and hard, all of like a quarter of a second before we said, yes, we would like to do that.
Right.
So they are doing in conjunction. So we got invited to the opening reception, which was so much fun. A British ambassador was there. I was trying to look up who had been there, and
a British ambassador.
It's what Lord Smellington Smythe to say.
Or it's not the ambassador. So there's the person that and of course now I don't have the name. I had a whole hour to look up the word, and did I do it?
No,
I did not.
We distracted you.
But so someone from the great country of
Great
Kingdom,
Great Britain, Northern Ireland,
was here to welcome the exhibit and all of us being there. And it's fabulous. It is the science of Doctor Who, but sometimes those are quite dry. But this is beautifully done. I posted some pictures, but we've got Handles is there, and we've got like the original Omega costume.
Warren perked up, yeah.
You can't see it, listeners, but I hear Handles, and I just put a hand to my heart.
There's a lot of original costumes and original prosthetics, and it's really fun. It's beautifully done. And then yesterday, every month they're doing a panel conversation on something about Doctor Who to promote the exhibit. So I got to be on with, I felt absolutely ridiculous. On one side was a physics professor from UC Irvine.
Wow.
And on the other side of me was a pediatric ER physician. And I'm like, what am I doing here? But that's okay.
Well, you're a psychiatrist. It's not like you're,
psychologist,
not qualified.
But yes.
Psychologist. Okay,
that's
sure,
okay.
yes.
It's important because I can't
fairly
give you meds.
qualified in the scientific arts. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Perhaps, but it didn't sound as impressive as these two. But anyway, so we talked about the villains of Doctor Who, and it was very, very fun. It was great. I was talking to the director of education afterwards, and she said that they're having a great response to the exhibit. Numbers are up. People are excited. People are volunteering. And I was just about to say to her, it feels like home when I'm in the exhibit. And she said to me, people are telling me it feels like home when they're in the exhibit. I know. Yeah. And it feels that way. You just feel so comfortable and all the things you love. So for anyone who's willing to risk a visit to the United States if
I
you're
was gonna
not
say,
here.
I feel
You're already there, maybe. Yeah.
But we have a year. Come see this exhibit. And if you're in the States and you're a Who fan, you should come. It's really lovely. I don't know where it's going next. It might go to somewhere else in the United States. But this is its first stateside visit.
I'm going to breach the border. I'm going to write a Target novelization of my own adventure called Doctor Who: The Liberation of Handles, where I get him back over the border to safer climes.
Right.
When you first walk in, this is I think the best part of the exhibit. They have every doctor, including War Doctor and Fugitive Doctor, all of their costumes lined up, all together in a big V. And then they have the replica of the original console from Adventure in Time and Space, right? No.
Space and Time.
Yes. Space and Time, always. Yeah. In the middle. And so it's such a beautiful setup. You walk in and I kind of got tears in my eyes because there's all their costumes.
Yeah. So here's my question. This is very important. Right. Yeah. Where is the Fugitive Doctor's costume? Is it before the Hartnell costume?
Well, no. Screen chronology.
All right. Okay.
She's right after Jodie's.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
right after
fair.
Jodie's.
That's fair.
And
that's
before,
fine. That's acceptable.
My wife came with me, and she's not a Doctor Who fan, but she's reading the signs because she's trying very hard. She's like, isn't this the same person, 10 and 14? I'm like, Stacey and I went, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, don't about. So is 10 and 10.5. Yeah, and so forth.
True.
Anyway,
never bother trying to figure it out. Great. Just let War be the one that screws up the numbers. Good enough. And don't let them get unscrewed up. That's
War
I look at
is
it.
right after 8.
Yeah.
In the lineup.
So technically the 10th is the 11th, and then there's 11.5. Oh, God, who cares?
Well, I don't think they numbered them.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I don't know what the sign I remember.
Yeah, probably the first 8 they did at least, yeah.
Yeah, the first 8 are legit, but then you got the Fugitive Doctors before them, so are they legit? They could be the nth Doctor, who knows?
Another fun thing they do is they have an interactive exhibit where you can record and your voice comes back out as a Dalek voice.
Fun.
Oh, nice.
And you can get in a Dalek.
Yeah. You get Briggsed. Yeah.
You get Briggsed. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, you get Briggsed.
Thank you.
Is it perhaps the War Doctor, and this is my segue, everyone, the War Doctor glitches out after every 9th word as it happens whenever it wants to in the Robot Revolution, which we'll begin to talk about. Shooty got one in our
such a good costume.
Kilt.
Oh, loved it. We're like, is that a kilt? What's he in?
I don't know what it is. I'm a fashion idiot, so clearly
he had like he had like a tartan jacket and then a kilt with big boots
fabulous.
on and stuff,
and then pants on underneath it. So
exactly, fabulous. That was just in the opening title sequence, and then he was sort of in costume with the rebels for the rest of it. On whatever planet Miss Belinda Chandra, of course, which is the name of the planet, because as teased out in the entirety of the press footage, basically RTD explained the plot, or at least the setup of the plot, about 18 times. So like I knew it was coming, the whole thing, but she gets jetted off to a different planet because
it's right at the beginning anyway.
It is right at the beginning, but usually on these things we go, hey, random person of this threesome panel, I ask one of the two what your initial thoughts are, and since Heather, you're the guest on this one, what are your initial thoughts on the Robot Revolution? I
really liked it. I left feeling satisfied, loving the new companion, Miss Belinda Chandra. Oh, drop the miss.
Didn't like the miss. Yep.
Thought Shooty was like very, very this Doctor, super high energy, super enthusiastic, but also quite emo, which I appreciated. So I left feeling really good, really satisfied. More centered on Doctor Who than Space Babies, which left me a little bit like, what's going to happen this series? So felt very Doctor Who-y in all the best ways. I'm sure I can find negative things to say about it, but mostly I have really good things to say.
Well, good. We'll get into it. Warren, what about you?
I'll go with one negative thing. They killed a cat for no reason, which really put me off. I was
like,
why did you do that? That seems odd.
Yeah.
We were all, what did you do?
I know.
And I'm like, no, this cat's not coming back. There's no Return of the Cat. Come on, what is that? Anyway, besides that though, I agree. It was your usual RTD first episode wacky hijinks, and that's fine. That's what I expect, and that's what I got, and it was good. Like I didn't mind it. I think, like you said, he's emo. I do like that Belinda Chandra is not putting up with his nonsense.
Yeah.
Like the line, timey-wimey, what are you, 6?
I know, I love that line.
Am I 6? I love that.
Or am I 6? Yeah. That was good. She's great. Once again, as much like, although I think they moved it up this time. Remember last season when it was impossible to look at two ridiculously attractive people in the TARDIS? Well, it's now they've just said, well, what if we times that by 10? Because these are two ridiculously attractive people that it's hard to look at because the radiance is so much. So I thought she was great right from the beginning. Like she definitely does not feel like the other Commander Mundy or whatever her name is.
Commander Money?
Well, no, Commander Mundy or
Mundy, yeah.
I can't remember
Mundy
her name, but,
Flynn is her name.
Thank you, Mundy
Flynn.
Flynn.
Yeah.
And they throw that in there. I really don't think they need to explain this. Like they don't. Like I know there's probably a reason for it, blah blah blah, but why bother? Like they never do it with the Sixth Doctor. They never do it with the old show. It was just there. Like we hired this guy again.
We're at a retrofit. Like everyone's like going around like meeting Michael Sheard every time. Wait a second. I remember seeing you on the 49th sector of time and the Ark and stuff. And
it's just become a thing with the new series, probably because a bunch of nerds are writing it.
Yeah.
So, as opposed to before. It's not a deal breaker or anything. It's just kind of
It does sound like that the fact that Mundy Flynn is a descendant is part of the arc of the season, though. Series,
yeah.
Right? It does sound like it might be more relevant than just a toss-off explanation, but we'll see.
It's not the worst thing ever. It's just kind of there. But no, it looked great. The retro future vibe is great. The Tintin rocket is great.
Right.
The fact that they really captured the, how do I put this gently? The nature of the incel. Like that guy from the beginning, you're like, oh, this guy sucks. Like he's just interrupting her the whole time. He's like telling her what to do. And I'm like they should just called him Johnny Red Flag because that's what he is Johnny Red Flag.
right.
And that's not bad. Like also I did like that he comes out of the thing and he hasn't learned a damn thing. That was in the 16 years. And he looks like Tim Shaw crossed the Terminator. So
Good makeup from Neil Gordon.
very good makeup. Very good makeup.
Millennium Effects. I mean, Warren, you've kind of hit upon something that my overall impression. I enjoyed the second viewing of it better. The killing of the cat.
It's a bit off-putting.
It put me off. I gotta be honest. It put me off. Thankfully we never saw the cat. We only saw it in the process of being vaporized. If you're looking for a positive on that. But like I just like that's sort of like that cat's gonna stay dead, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. Well, then Sasha, she gets shot, and she's like, "Now take me to the stars." I'm like, "Oh, she's done." Like the instant I heard that, I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, goodbye. We'll never see you again."
Well, and like her entire function basically is to be the person who the Doctor knew. Basically, we know this because the Doctor says so, and then she dies. Yeah. And we only have basically his reaction to her death to realize that I guess she was important. My main problem with this episode, and perhaps its first episode itis, in that you're setting up a whole season, is that it never breathed. There was never any time to establish Varada Sethu's character, Belinda. We just had to like immediately. We got to get to that. We got to get to that pre-titles cliffhanger. We got to get there somehow. So like she's reacting quite normally to robots basically invading her house because as Doctor Who fans, we know this. We know what's going on. So why would we be surprised? She should be horrified that there are robots coming through the door, but she's not really because we got to get to that cliffhanger. And her boyfriend Alan is like awful because. Because we just got to get the beats in. He's an awful boyfriend. So, like, he proposes and says, okay, well, first off, you're going to change your wardrobe and no texting after 8. Like, why would she be with this guy to begin with the entire time? But we need those beats, you know? And then the one that really got me is Manny, who basically his function there is to be resentful of the Queen. That's his sole function. The only reason, he's good though, because the Doctor sort of says, he's good, he's all right. We've never seen him. We only have your word to go for it. And then what really annoyed me is that, and this is kind of a side way of it, but it's kind of emblematic of my initial thought about this episode, is that like there's a scene when they're having to hold up the roof because of the bombing and everything, and everyone's like looking resentful. At Belinda. Cut to her looking resentful. Cutting back to Manny looking resentful. And then we cut to a shot of Belinda, and there's an obvious ADR. This is all your fault, Queen. It's like, okay, we got the point, RTD. We had two looks already that they're resentful, but you had to hammer it home because
RTD being obvious?
That's the thing.
I'm very surprised.
And then like Alan never really changed at all. He was just a grubby little incel, and it was characterization, caricatures basically, as opposed to characters in the episode, because the thing just it moved too quickly. I would have loved to have learned about the history of the robots and this, and there's a lot of stuff that just got painted over, and I feel like
here's
this show needs to breathe a little more to actually make me feel and care about the world that we're visiting,
At the end of this rebellion, the robots, everybody's going to get along just fine. There's no Truth and Reconciliation Committee for this, because the robots have presumably been just massacring people in her name, and nobody has a problem with this. But whatever. Like you said, I'd sound like I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it. Like, you're right. When you point these things out, you're not wrong. But it was just kind of like frothy fun, like these things usually are. Yeah. So it didn't bug me as much. I
don't know. I mean, is it frothy fun or is it inconsequential? And this is where I'm deciding. I don't know where to land yet. Am I just here to just have a good time and forget about it, or do I want to remember an episode of Doctor Who?
Well, I think the glossing over of those things that you mentioned, Stephen, allowed for there to be a lot more focus on Belinda and the Doctor. Right. We did. As I think about the opening credit stuff, was very, very speedy, like we're running a marathon. But after that, we get I think there is much more room to breathe, and the details and the characterization and the emotionality come from those two characters.
Right.
So I think I really felt introduced to Belinda in a satisfying way, that I feel like I got who she was. Also, we get this growth automatically from her because we see her 17 years ago, and here she is. She's got those little, she's got her hair up in little cat bunny ears, and she's kind of much more demure and much less assertive with Alan. And then we see her 17 years later, and she's kicking butt, right? She's telling the Doctor, you can't do that without my consent. Don't talk to me that way. Am I 6, right? So we see, even though we didn't get to see her growth happen, we know that it has happened because of how different she is. So that was how I read that.
Right.
For her. And then I really appreciated who she was. Like, clearly the character, like, I don't understand his thought process, but having a character, like having Belinda be the person that she is as the companion, having it be about incels and having Alan be this kind of narcissistic guy, those two really fit together, right? We see that she has grown beyond him, and she has learned to assert herself and to value herself more than let someone else treat her that way, including the Doctor. So it all fit together for me. Well, yeah.
Right.
I was going to say, they both, given it's obvious that they're not both teenagers, they both play teenagers pretty well. And I'd rather see that than pointless, expensive de-aging.
Right.
Like just have them play teenagers for the 2 minutes. We're going to see them like that, and then go from there. Yeah, it's not real. It's also TV. Who cares?
Yeah, I know. I was, as the camera sort of started up there and sort of pushed in, and I thought, oh no, they're not going to be de-aged, are they? When I saw the 17 years earlier, I thought, oh no, but no, they didn't.
No, because that stuff still costs a mint, and why bother?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Another part it just reminded me of is that, like, Alan gets, kidnapped, and like it just immediately, his first scene, what, you mean I can be in control of everything ever? Oh, and then like the next scene, oh, you get to die. Like the guy saying, wait a second, if I am I just want to point out that I think your technology is almost exactly 10 years out of date. Just like, it was just, the dialogue was just too on the nose because it needed to like just convey the exact thing throughout the scene. It bothered me. It bothered me.
Alan's reaction was very, tech billionaire. So it's not like there's no basis for this kind of thing.
I suppose. I just thought there were characters. I just thought, for the most part, other than the Doctor, who I thought Shudigawa actually felt doctorish.
He's definitely in the role. I mean, obviously in 2 episodes in, he's going to be less so than now. But yeah, it does feel like he's kind of, and he says it himself, I think, of some of the behind the scenes stuff. I've kind of like had this within me for a while now. So.
Yeah, I do feel like he's found it. I think maybe, being dropped in, helicoptered in halfway through, or at least a quarter of the way into his first season, I think it affected his not
that he was bad, because he
wasn't bad, but I felt like and honestly, I think the dynamic with an older companion, even the actors are of similar age too. I think that helps. I like this a little more. I like having that sort of spark between them, because I think even Russell T Davies is saying himself in various interviews leading up to this is that, sometimes the Doctor Ruby Sunday was almost a paternal relationship, and that she was like, he was always having to take care of, basically watching the doctor and Susan go around. Like, we have to keep her safe, we have to talk down to her a little bit, but there does seem to be a more on equal relationship here, which I kind of like. But
here's my question. All Since right. Mrs. Flood is her neighbor, that means that she's also neighbors with Ruby. So does she know Ruby? Is she aware of any of the alien nonsense that's been happening for the last year on her block?
Well, it looks like they're in a different neighborhood. So it looks like
Mrs. Flood moved? Like...
That's what it looked like to me, because they had backyards and I don't know, maybe it was the same, but it looked like a different neighborhood to me.
Yeah. This is a minor, silly point, but yeah.
Yeah, but clearly Belinda knows who she is because she just sort of like, talks to her and everything. So maybe she's moved around. I don't know. Maybe she has a perception filter and has moved in and like, you've actually known me all your life.
Clearly mysterious, and she's talking to us via the fourth wall. So,
or she lives everywhere. Wherever the doctor shows up.
I honestly, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Heather. Right. I honestly got to say that the whole Mrs. Flood thing is getting a bit hammered over the face. Because okay, we get it. She's a mysterious figure. Do we have to? And she's going to show up every episode. I know. It's like I'm not irritated, but I'm also like, is this going anywhere? I assume it is, but when they please go there.
When they show up in every episode, it just feels it does feel more and more like a gimmick and less a plot point.
Until they come up with something super clever to make it justify itself. But at this point, it's like, all right, it was kind of interesting the first season, but if the same thing's going to happen until the very end, which presumably it will.
I'm hoping that the Mundy Flynn similarity thing was only written in as this because she was cast relatively late. It was Belinda Finch, the character, up until they cast Varada Sethu, and then they changed it. So I feel like they already had like the arc of this season planned out before they cast the character. So if they did a complete rewrite of everything based on who they cast, so that could lead to trouble. But I suppose we'll see how that goes. But anything else? We're not done to talk about this yet, or like this. But no. I seem to have brought everyone down, and I'm so sorry about
You're the
that.
worst. Actually,
I feel like I'm the negative Nelly this podcast for some strange reason. I'm usually the one that's supposed to like everything and whatnot. But Chris has sent a written prepared statement that I'll read a little bit later on.
A hostage note, actually.
But I don't know, Heather. Do you have any other thoughts that won't be quashed down by my negative Nelly opinions?
I think it is just fine to not like the episode or not like parts of it. Yeah,
it improved on second view. Let me tell you though, staying up to 1 a.m. to watch it.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask how that went.
I was tired all day leading up to it.
Told you.
I was terrified. I've not slept all the past few days, and I wake up when the sun rises at like 7 a.m. here, and it's like, no, I need to sleep in. I got to stay up till 2 tonight. And so I was worried. I was a little bit worried. So I had a diet Pepsi and a Mountain Dew during the evening,
and then you became Alan.
Then I became Alan. I went immediately to bed after Doctor Who was done.
And buzzed for about 3 hours.
Yeah, I turned off all the lights. Erica did not stay up. She went to actually bed at 12:15. I think
that's
she almost
the sensible spouse.
It is, but it was great. I watched it. I turned the lights off. I watched Doctor Who in the dark for the first time.
You can enjoy it any way you like, but I got up at 5 a.m. actually because. Well, the reason was at 7 a.m. I was doing this virtual CanCon conference. So I was, because it's Ottawa time. So I was like, well, I'll be up anyway. So I woke up at 5. I had to sit around for a little bit and I just watched the episode at 5 a.m. So not too far off from you, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Had breakfast, went to the gym, did this thing. So yeah.
Right. I'm just trying to make event TV again. I
Rage against the dying of the light.
A little bit. I mean, I don't know, Heather. How did you watch Doctor Who? Did you make a big event of it, or you just sort of like pop it on and have?
No, we did for the last couple times. We've gathered with my galley friends who are Dr. Stacy, my podcast host, her wife, Chelsea, Dolores, my wife actually came this time, and then some other friends of ours. We all do galley together, in addition to my other galley friends. And so we get together, we eat British food, we do a little potluck. Chelsea made TARDIS and Dalek ice cubes last night. It was very fun, and our custom drinks. And so we have dinner, and then we watch it together for the first time. So it was really fun. So we make it an event. Yeah.
Right. That's pretty cool.
Which is much easier that we can watch it whenever we want. We don't have to be like, it started in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I know. Well, when Erica woke up on Saturday and we watched it together, her for the first time, me for the second, we did the thing where we had to open up all our Lego bookshelves, so the sun shining in on the glass doors would reflect on the TV. So
it was still dark here, so I was able to have my blinds down anyway. So I did watch it in the dark just to 5 a.m.
Yeah. I love the robots. The robots are great. The whole design of the planet was cool, that retro 50s sort of thing. And, those are actual robot suits, which was...
Oh, the behind-the-scenes stuff on the robot suits was great.
Oh, my God, yeah.
They looked really uncomfortable, but not as uncomfortable as some creatures in
they
costumes.
Look like emoji bots on crack. Remember the emoji bots?
Yes, yeah.
I thought
and they did
was,
have those CG ball things. They had to be CG because they kept changing and flipping around.
They kept changing. I think they had, well, I don't know, because when they showed them, they had like, I think one of them, like a little checkmark one. They might have had like a special one where you're going to have this one the whole time.
Yeah, those are the background ones, or they just painted out or whatever.
Yeah.
They've just got that there as a reference, but then you paint it in.
You can move it.
Because obviously it's not going to be a whole bunch of different spheres with different stuff on it. Like that would be a big pain to make. So
yeah, I feel like in years ago, those robots probably would have been CG. Bad CG.
Yeah, maybe.
And like even little polish. The polish robot.
He's lovely.
Loved him.
I bet you
they're lovely. I don't know
probably would have been CG as well, I bet. But I just feel like there's this turn back to sort of like practical effects again.
What was Gadget? He wasn't CG.
I think
practical, except when he's terrassing across the Martian desert. Then that's definitely
then it was
CG,
practical. But I'm trying to think, like, I don't remember any photos of him. I don't know what Doctor Who Confidential had to say at the time with Gadget, but Scoot being his name. I love Scoot, but you're right. There is a certain Gadget, polish.
I mean, he's still cute. Who cares?
Although they had rod puppeteers when he was actually polishing the floor. Those are painted out. So they had 2 little rod puppets.
And I do love how the Doctor goes, "I'm sorry, babes," and he's just talking very affectionately to this little robot, and like it's another individual, which is nice too. So
to be honest, I was much more concerned about polish the entire episode. Did he make it with them to be transmatted?
Like, you just killed a cat. Okay? Do not kill the robot.
Yeah, I mean, it was all about polish for me, really. If I'm being emotionally honest, I was down for polish.
Can I just put in? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Gonna buy that dolly when polish shows up.
Yeah. If only.
Can I just put in my side note that when what's the name of the handsome sleeveless guy?
Manny or something.
Manny. He comes in, and my immediate thought was, "Oh, this is the Hornrim librarian of the RTD era. This is definitely what RTD's into."
He's got a type.
and so here comes this guy, as opposed to name your Stephen Moffat poison. And then I was going, well, what did Chris Chibnall do? I don't think he did. He didn't let his fetishes wander into the show yet.
No, he never had a trope. At all. No,
that I can think of.
Yeah, I know. The second I saw on the promo images, which there's a lot, which I'm cycling through right now to find the right one to illustrate my point. But when I saw that image pop up, I thought, okay,
that is RTD catnip.
I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
RTD has written people in to be admired,
and not to single him out. Moffat did the same thing.
That's true.
Many filmmakers do.
I suppose they do.
For ill or good.
I also realized during, I think Disney had, and the BBC released 53 different promo images for this episode, one of which contained a character we never see, and a scene that never happened. It's Belinda sitting outside in her Crocs talking to another nurse or doctor outside, so we lost some character development by the looks of it in the edit. It just mean, emphasizing my point from earlier is that we had to rush through it. I keep going back to it, but part of the thing that I kind of liked about Chibnall's first season is that he only used the pre-title sequence when they called for it, and Women Who Fell to Earth, I think, helped it because we would have rushed too headlong into just getting to that first cliffhanger. And here, I thought the first cliffhanger, that whole sequence just felt too rushed to me. I just felt everything kind of,
No, I agree.
I don't know. It felt inconsequential. I keep going back to it. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I can't get away from it. As I said, I liked it the second time around, but the first time, that first viewing.
Well, it has a lot to live up to, right? I mean, expectations are always so high, especially for this episode. First episode, new series.
True.
And then this time, I could not escape the feeling of nostalgia or grief. I'm not sure, not knowing when we're going to, it's been a long time since nothing has been on the books at this point, right? So it all feels a little bit more emotionally intense. I mean, if they tell us they're renewing or they tell us that something's happening, hopefully that will go away. But right now I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get this again.
You just have to like savor it as you can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I do love the design of this. I loved the spaceships and the robots. It felt very Disney to me, actually, very much like going to the World of Tomorrow in Disneyland, which I was down for. Retro and really colorful and very kind of cartoony in its simplicity of shape. I liked it. Enjoyed it.
And colorful is good.
Pretty to look at.
That's true. Doctor Who has never really gone in for
They don't gray slop it.
They don't gray slop it. No, they've never really gray slopped it.
Even when it's called for, it isn't gray sloppy.
Is that when you shade it, or what is gray slop?
No, it's just when you watch Netflix. You see everything looks like gray slop. Like nobody has heard of the what's the word I'm looking for here? Concept of color.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
So you've
very
seen
dark
plenty
and
of shows
dreary.
like that.
Yeah.
And just a lot of shows are shot like that, and it's probably not to be an old jerk, but it's partly because stuff isn't shot on film and you're not eyeballing what the color is going to be. And, it's part of it is it's not analog anymore. So it isn't, so you can be more precise, but in being more precise, it's a little too precise sometimes. I saw somebody complaining, stuff is too crisp nowadays. And I'm like, damn it. They're right. I don't like admitting it, but they're right.
They are kind of right sometimes,
That's also me being old and enjoying things a certain way because they were like that when I was a kid, to be fair. So.
Yeah. Also, same thing could be said about music too. It's all too crisp and perfect and made by robots.
Well, I'm completely ignorant of new music, so that solves that problem.
Me too. I only listen to stuff from 1974 because it's better.
And only that year.
Only that year. Actually, 75.
Wow,
but,
so limiting.
I know. Feel drawn to it.
That's right. You like what you like.
I do. What else about this episode? I only started playing it when we started talking about it, and we're only 24 minutes into this episode of Doctor Who. We can't be done talking about Doctor Who yet.
No, we're not done. I'm waiting for you to cue things. Like, what are you watching?
To be fair.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to be fair, every first episode is queuing a bunch of stuff up that we're not going to see until later. They'll make, like, for instance, the whole thing where they're getting the weird shifting and editing and blurring and all that.
Time fracturing.
There's more to that than we're seeing now, right? So it just kind of, that also kind of plants a seed, but makes you go, what's going on? That's all a whole lot of nothing. And it turns out it isn't a whole lot of nothing. We've got to wait 6 or 7 episodes to find that out.
Yeah.
Right? So
it is a tough thing when you're every year seems to be introducing a new companion, which, that's what shows do, I guess. But you're right. You have to simultaneously impress everyone with a show opener, that being robots at a futuristic space planet. But you also have to introduce a character and have people care about this new character and how they interact with the Doctor and everything like that.
Whatever the arc is.
It's a tough thing to do. It's what other shows don't usually have to do. Basically establish the world of this new person, this new cast member. 50%, you're introducing 50% of your
cast. It's like a pilot every time, right? Like,
really is. It's such a tough thing to write for Doctor Who that I don't, and sometimes I think, I would love just a bbasic two-hander for this. And you're thinking, no, that would probably not work either.
That's what the mid-season is for.
It is what the mid-season is for, I guess, Yeah. I don't know, left a little cold.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fun frivolity.
I guess so. Maybe I just wanted more. I don't know.
Don't stay up till 1, as somebody in the comments said.
Somebody said that, but listen, I would have been as dissatisfied as I was getting up at 10 for it. All
right, what's the over/under on Stephen not doing this anymore? That's what
I'm totally doing it. 100%.
Right,
I'm never not doing it. I'm watching every single episode at 1 a.m.
Now I've egged the pudding.
Yeah.
Now I've said now is a great time to buy exclamation point DJT.
Right.
So.
One thing that I thought was that caught my attention, snagged me a little bit, was the Doctor does this huge exclamation of, I've been through your whole life. We've been so much to each other.
Yeah.
And then the shot we get is just of him holding a baby. That's it. Presumably holding Belinda. But after this, we've been through so much together. To just get that one shot, I thought was curious. I'm like, well,
yeah.
And it was so quick. It was a little strange in the editing, I thought.
Yeah, I thought that's one part that I had to go when on first viewing going, I need to watch that bit again. I wasn't too entirely sure. And then like Alan became a sperm and an egg. Like, so we've
Yeah, and they got rid of him. So I was like, that's a little.
That was a great moment, though. I mean, come on. I mean,
like, well,
polish. That was very
I know
funny.
that, but so they Blinoviched him out of existence because they.
But not Belinda, because the doctor pulled her out.
Otherwise, they would have both been vaporized, from what I understand.
Blinovich limitation affected themselves, yeah, which is something I decided, not the show.
Yeah, is that what happened there? So did the whole war happen then, or because they just got rid of the guy who started the war and the robot revolution?
Right. Neil says the doctor took the hit, right? He said, well, I had to step in.
I suppose so, but I think I was confused as to what happened with the...
I do like the visual
Yeah.
presentation of it, though. They just got them kind of floating around, and then they've got Alan as an old man looking very confused in a nice-looking sweater. And I was just like, this is kind of cool the way they're showing it, because it's all sort of abstract as opposed to being really on the nose about it.
It felt kind of old school, too.
Yeah, it did.
Old school... timey-wimey stuff, yeah.
Yeah, they look kind of like, it kind of reminded me, oddly enough, of like Doctor Who in the Vortex in Inferno, almost, you know? Or,
yeah, kind of. A little
like
2001-y, too, about how they're showing old and new and, you know, that and the different colors.
That's true, too. Yeah, I did enjoy the end, though. I think Neil Perriman just mentioned that in the chat. I did enjoy that. I just enjoyed seeing the TARDIS again, because I feel like in the past few episodes, we've barely seen the TARDIS interior, the greatest set, of which there is a superb, it's in the show notes, links in the show notes, it's a live stream. I think it's still going on now as we record this, of just chill ambience, of the sound of the interior of the TARDIS, and the camera just sort of like showing bits of it and swooping around, just nice, gentle little stuff. It's just a live stream, and I had it on for like 2 hours yesterday.
It's just nice. And there's a whole tradition of that now. Like it used to be, you just have lo-fi beats to study to or whatever.
Yeah.
And now Star Wars does this. All sorts of different. Like I think Marvel probably does too.
They do, yeah.
They all do like the ambient sound in the background. I mean, why the hell not?
I know. I'm just sort of jumping around a little bit on the live stream, like just lovely, just quiet, nice shots of it. It was so great to see that TARDIS in action again, and like why are we being prevented from going to May 24th, 2025, and all this sort of mystery. I thought that, and her sort of talking about, like, you scanned me for DNA without my consent, like basically smacked him down right then and there. I did not believe the doctor's apology on that one.
So May 4th is, that's not the 8th episode, is
May
it?
24th
is the 8th episode.
7.
Yeah, okay.
Episode 7 is May 24th.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So the beginning of the 2-part finale, which, Moffat did back in his first season.
Exactly.
With Amy's wedding and stuff, though. Yeah, so they I guess they had to prepare for all eventualities should the episode not go out on the 24th. But anyway, Warren, you have any? I got Chris's prepared statement.
No, I think we between the three of us, you pretty much covered everything. I think.
Let's see here. I'm going to read Chris's notes. As I say, Chris is in a hammers, but he's sent along this. So here we go. Very enjoyable episode, solid episode, cat extermination notwithstanding. Yeah, that is, somebody posted on the socials where this follows in line with Doctor Who tradition, where the opening episode of season 2 involves killing a cat, because a cat in the original 4-part version of Planet of Giants gets killed.
I totally forgot about
it's alluded to. Series 2 of Modern Who, the cat nuns, of course, in New Earth get killed.
That's a bit of a stretch.
And now this cat too, which is that's the theme we're going for.
Also, cat nuns rule. They're great.
Yeah.
There's a cat nun costume at the exhibit, which is amazing. You can look up close at the face. It's so good. Anyway,
right. Yeah.
Tangent.
Belinda, this is back to Chris's notes. Belinda is very much a different character than we're used to, in a good way, with some interesting potential. The snowflakes who complain about wokeness will have some stuff to sink their teeth into, thanks to RTD goading them. The overnights will fuel the same hater fire. We're not even talking about overnights or stats.
Thank God.
Fire, but it's clear from those numbers, almost nobody is watching broadcast TV. Correct. It'll be interesting to see how things go with episode 6 if it doesn't hit BBC One until the Sunday or some such. The mystery being set up at the end of the episode seems intriguing enough. Roll on psychotic animations. That being, of course, episode 2 with Lux the next week. So yeah, Robot Revel. We're not even done yet. We're not even done talking about the episode. Was it that light and fluffy of an intro that we we could only talk for half an hour about an
Neil
episode.
in the chat just pointed out, you haven't mentioned that the Earth blew up. He's right, we haven't. The Earth apparently does blow up.
Yeah.
Which why we can't land on the 24th, right?
I guess so, because there's fragments of only landmarks flying around.
There's a London
Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, and some other stuff.
And a calendar, one specific calendar with the night cell going up. Yeah.
Okay, so now whatever. I did not realize the final episode was going to be on May 24th. So now I understand the May 24th. I'm like,
31st.
May 24th, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but isn't May 24th is, because that's the
penultimate episode.
Penultimate. Yeah. So I am happy to have that all boxed up for me now. I understand.
Yeah.
I do appreciate him dealing with the incel problem. Like,
yeah, true.
Entitled men who tell women what to do just because they're men and think that the world owes them because they feel deprived. The deprivation is difficult, but nonetheless, everyone's deprived. And I don't see that as a topic very much on TV, right? I don't see addressing this particular way of being in the world and the problems it creates for the people around it. I thought it was really brave of RT to do that. I like how he's opening these dirty little secrets that we don't want to talk about. And he did it last season. He's doing it this season. And I really appreciated it. As someone who identifies as a female, having that behavior pointed out on screen and called out for what it is, and having Belinda be so clear on how unacceptable that is, whether it comes from someone like Alan or it comes from the doctor. Like, that was bold and refreshing. And I'm like, oh, right, I feel seen here. So I loved that piece of it. And I hope that, well, I hear Verity might be recording today. So I think they might talk a lot about that. I'm looking forward to hearing their conversation.
Right.
So I thought that was fabulous. And all hail RTD. That was great.
I think from what I gather, let's say, not to single out Americans, I'm sure British stuff does this too, but most people would just rather avoid the controversy and the magnet of these idiots who will get online and yell. And RTD is like, oh, tough, yell. You're going to yell anyway. So fair enough.
Yep, I get it. Might hear about it, but that's fine. Like, it's a problem.
I'm not defending them. I think
No,
quite cowardly, but yeah.
I think it's hugely problematic behavior and is tied to other things that are problematic in very big ways. So anyway, I love that about it. And yeah, I thought that part was great.
Yeah. And it was like a throwaway comment from, Belinda, more or less. But we all kind of got, the gist of what was going on,
Well, our group was like, incel. He's an incel way before.
Before they even said it. Yeah.
And then to have them say it after we'd recognized that pattern of behavior was really cool. And then to have her stand up to the doctors, not getting her consent and kind of telling her what to do. And that part was just really beautifully written.
Yeah.
So
it's weird. Like the way that Gatwa performed the apology too. Like, so like it felt like he was still trying to like maintain that, okay, I will say sorry if that's what you want. He never, it didn't feel like it was like, you're right, I'm sorry. Like he never
not all that genuine.
He didn't feel genuine.
Genuine-ish.
Yeah, which felt odd to me. I don't know if that was a choice or just I don't know. It felt, you know what I mean? Like
he had genuinely backed off when she had pushed at him about earlier things, and I believed those. So I wonder if that will be part of the theme. Is that of course he's a Time Lord. He's got some natural inherent superiority in him. Regardless of the body he's in. Another great comment. Let's not start arguing about whose body is best.
Yeah.
Really good line. Loved that. So I wonder if Belinda will continue to push on his superiority and that will be part of the show, or that was just a moment. I don't know.
I think she will. I think it will.
Yeah, it seems like they're teeing something up here.
Yeah.
My complete side thing is when he pulls out the X-ray blanket and he goes, "This is what replaces the kidneys," and they're like, "Oh, piece of bratwurst, all right."
Yeah.
But then they show him and he's only got 2 hearts, and I'm like, yes, it's kind of cool that I think they've done this before, where the heartbeat is the theme of the show.
Yeah.
But also, I'm like, he only has 2 hearts. He's empty otherwise. Where are the rest of his guts? What's going on here?
Yeah.
I know that's not what they intend. But.
No, I kind of wish to. I always like the Doctor sort of being mysterious. I would have liked that scene a little better if she would have asked, are you the same as these people? And then that's when he would have like pulled up the X-ray blanket, but he like offers it. Oh, by the way, look at this, 2 hearts.
Yeah.
It felt like I don't know.
Well, the doctor's a show off. I mean,
I suppose, but I don't know. I like it when he's a little mysterious. Is that too much to ask to have a mysterious doctor again? I'm just saying.
Yeah, people complained about Jodie, and I liked Jodie's doctor not being a show off and not being a giant egomaniac like the rest of them are. And to a certain extent, so is Shooty's doctor. I mean, in a different way. He's more confident than he is an egomaniac.
If that makes any sense. That he claimed his identity as not human much more strongly and openly. I mean, if we think of Eccleston, he was very... Nine was very, very kind of secretive and hidden and had to yank everything out of him. Whereas Shooty's just like, oh, yeah, I got 2 hearts. Look at this. Isn't this cool? It was a very different characterization.
And they even explain it with the reason the bi-generation, which I'm still not thrilled with, but the bi-generation works because that doctor works through his nonsense eventually, right? And then that becomes Shooty. Like, it's all timey-wimey because I'm 6. but,
Another great comment.
But but that is an interesting way to do it. It's like, oh, no, we can have this whole new guy who's actually kind of just happy to be alive and doing his thing because this other guy finally worked out 4 other doctors' problems.
Right. Yeah, he's a I am who I am doctor, which makes sense given that he's I guess I don't know if he's claimed gay, but clearly, right? He's able to love more than women.
Right.
And so that whole claiming of identity and just literally he's out, right? He's out as a Time Lord.
Right.
He's out as not human. He's out as the person that he is.
That's a good point.
I think that fits all.
Making out with Jonathan Groff is kind of a clue.
Yeah, right? I just don't want to give him an identity he hasn't claimed, but...
okay, fair enough.
I mean, clearly he's...
if I had to pick one and give him one, it would be pansexual, right? But he's also a Time Lord. They transcended gender long ago, as Capaldi said.
Right. Yeah.
A doctor who really hasn't transcended gender, let's be honest here.
No, not unfortunately, but maybe we'll get there. If we could get more season series, whatever we're calling it.
Yeah, well, hey, and season 1 of Doctor Who presented on Tubi, we'll find out. Where it's just Doctor Who in a room with ads crammed in. It's just slightly off center, just like I saw the next scene before the ad came in. That's what Tubi is.
Part of you wants that, Stephen.
No, I really don't. Warren. That's the thing. Better than Space Babies. I'll say that about this episode.
I don't hate Space Babies.
As a season opener, I think this was a better choice than Space Babies. Space Babies was a little like, what are you doing?
What are we doing here?
Yeah. But I did love Space Babies as an episode.
I didn't hate it. You're right about everything you just said about it, but I also didn't hate it.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I saw the reaction of people who talked about Space Babies is what kind of was honestly the reaction to Space Babies was worse than Space Babies.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
it's a little dumb, sure, but oh well, whatever.
I suspect Space Babies will go down as one of those gems that people were all aflutter about at the time, but as time, as we go on in age and it becomes settled in the canon, I suspect people will kind of cherish it a little bit because it is so out there. Yeah.
I thought, as we were just sort of comparing RTD season openers, like I always had more of a soft spot for New Earth than a lot of people did.
Yeah, me too.
At the time,
also quite like New Earth.
Even with the crazy body swapping going on and everything.
I thought that was great. I thought she does a great job. They both did a fantastic job of acting that out, just to defend an almost 20-year-old episode.
Yeah.
And also the whole thing at the end with, I can't remember her name, Cassandra, kind of redeeming herself, or themselves, I guess, was really cool.
Yeah. Just thinking of other ones. Smith and Jones. Which kind of has similarities to this
also
one.
Great.
where a nurse is,
a lot of fun.
Is kidnapped onto a different thing by some brutish-looking people in helmets.
A doctor.
And a doctor and all that. Yeah, I don't know. All right, he's playing the hits again, I think.
And he shows off the 2 hearts in that one, too.
Yeah.
Which, of course, he would. He's in a hospital setting, but...
Indeed. Anyway, are we done? We're done with Robot Revolution. Andrew Smith just joined the chat, and Andrew, you just missed literally everything we talked about the entire episode. So you'll have to.
But you can rewatch it.
Yeah,
enjoy the lesser news.
Yeah. So there, I guess I'm the negative person on this show today. I didn't.
Yeah, but you're in kind of like here's the spectrum. We're here. and then you're kind of.
I suppose, yeah. I didn't outwardly hate it, but I don't know. There was I would have liked to have seen 10 minutes longer. I don't know why we're there's still this kind of goes back to like the broadcast TV thing where you'll notice we're not really talking about the stats at all because broadcast TV is whatever.
Irrelevant.
It's irrelevant, but like, and even RTD is sort of going on about how like, oh, if it airs on the episode 6 airs between FA Cup and Eurovision, then great. If it not, well, that's fine too. Well, but I still feel like the show is being made for a 45-minute time slot when it doesn't necessarily have to be,
I agree with that for sure.
Like I should the clip, the promo image of Belinda sitting outside talking about her job, like that was a scene that was cut this just to get to
part of that
45 minutes.
Is that it will be shown in a broadcast setting, right? So I mean that's as
that's
opposed
the thing,
to something
but like
that's just going on Netflix or whatever.
Are you making it for broadcast or are you making it for iPlayer? Right now,
but you got to make compromises one way or the other.
Well, this is the problem, I think. I think they need to like make a choice at some point. Are we making this to be watched, or are we making this to be something that's going in the schedule in between something and something else? And
the answer is both.
Unfortunately, it is. And I would like it to not be. If we're gonna go towards a thing, let's make it for actual. I don't know. I feel like, 45 minutes for Doctor Who has always kind of felt rushed to me. I thought, like even ever since Rose, I thought maybe it's
bring back 4-parters where they get kidnapped.
I don't know. Not even more oddly enough, I think sometimes like when they go like 55 minutes, it needs to like be justified. I think it's rare that a Doctor Who has sort of felt like padded or anything like that.
Day of the Doctor's what, 63 minutes?
71 minutes.
Doesn't feel like it.
Long. No, it
does not feel like it.
Heaven Sent is like 55, for instance, like that. 11th Hour is like almost an hour long, and that doesn't feel like it. But you felt it, that whole setup between Amy, Amelia, and the Doctor goes on for like literally 10 minutes, but it's great. It's superb. It's the whole heartbeat of that whole episode. Is that two-hander when you think about it? Now that I think about it, going back about you need to like sort of like start off with explosions and everything. Well, it's like Doctor Who and a kid for the first 10 minutes of that episode, and we're still quoting Fish Fingers and Custard to this day, Anyway, Heather, you were saying.
Well, it seemed like, and you'll know this better than I do, but it seemed like a lot of Jodie's episodes were all over the place, and not in content, but in time. So sometimes they were shorter and sometimes they were longer, and those were also made for broadcast. So I'm a little confused about why this episode felt so short. Why it didn't get more time.
Yeah, I think, as Erica just said here, I was going to raise the same point. I think RTD's idea of pacing, not so much RTD as I think Phil Collinson's idea of pacing, the producer. I think he likes to be a little more pacey, possibly at the expense of breathing.
Well, also, this production team is used to making things a certain way. Which is the TV way. So that's part of it too.
I suppose, RTD saying like he's the last person who watches terrestrial TV, basically, I think he's still got that mindset where, the people are going to be bored. They're going to be bored. So, no, we're not going to be bored. We can probably afford to watch a little more of this before we jet off to a new location, Just saying. Anyway, beat that dead horse enough on this podcast.
Looking forward to next week. Excited about the season overall. Yeah,
cartoony nonsense. I'm all here for it.
Hand-drawn animation nonsense. Actual hand-drawn on animation.
Also, the costumes look great on our friends.
That's true.
The Doctor and Belinda.
Yeah. Hey, it was great to watch Doctor Who Unleashed immediately right after the episode on YouTube or whenever it was.
That's great. Please, thank you, more of that.
Yeah.
Yes, I can watch it on a VPN if I need to,
Yeah.
but I'd just rather just fire it up on YouTube and watch it there.
Much better.
And I don't often say that about YouTube.
No, I know.
Because I'm not a fan of a lot of crap on YouTube. But
yeah, and thankfully they also still have the little 10-minute behind the scenes, which is an entirely different thing. And I was worried that they wouldn't do that now that Unleashed is on YouTube. But after broadcast on BBC One, the behind the scenes thing popped up too. Links in the show notes for that too, where they mostly cover, I think, Neil Gorton's actually on there a lot. Neil Gorton's talking about the robot costume a bit too. So
Stephen, is that only on BBC One? The behind the scenes?
That's also
Or
on
is
the
that
YouTube
somewhere else,
channel.
too?
Also
Oh,
on the
it's
YouTube channel.
That's always been on the YouTube channel,
I
yeah.
didn't see it. Okay, I'll have to go back.
Yeah, it showed up.
Season 1 they did that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Unleashed. I don't know when Unleashed showed up. Like I said, I went to bed right after Doctor Who aired, so it might have gone like an hour or something after.
I was going to say right after, but I don't know. I was watching it 5 hours later.
I waited to watch that until the next morning, and then the behind the scenes goes out after it goes out on BBC One. That is dependent on the broadcast, apparently. So. Hey Warren, we've been looking forward to the Interstellar Song Contest so much.
Boy, have we?
They added.
Okay, this is where Heather comes in for some representation on the other side.
One more thing, Graham Norton. Everybody's favorite
That's
Graham
great.
Norton is going to be on.
It's a pretty good jacket. I'll give him that.
It is a good jacket.
On the promo photo, he's got a nice jacket on. He's going to be on the Interstellar Song Contest as himself. He's got a whole plot twist. It's not just a cameo, RTD promises / threatens. It's a whole plot thing to do with Graham Norton.
I bet he's so excited to be on it.
He does seem like a Doctor Who dork.
He does seem a total Doctor Who dork, I think. You don't think so?
I just think every time that Doctor Who is on there, I don't know if he plays to the audience whenever he talks about it, but I feel like he kind of talks down about the series a little bit, about the Whovians and all this, and he makes fun of little things here and there.
But also,
he was wrong about when he brought out a theremin. It's like, oh, they made the Doctor Who theme on the theremin. I was like, no, they did not, you idiot. They did not use the theremin.
One, you're just mad that his animated version interrupted the two-part Angel story.
Right.
Still, you're holding that grudge.
Right.
And two, I don't watch any Graham Norton other than when he talks about Doctor Who. So who knows? Maybe he's like that with everybody.
That's true.
Maybe not. I have no idea because I just don't care unless he's got Doctor Who people on.
I watched him a fair amount, and because I think he's funny, and I like how everyone on his show is just a little tipsy when they talk. I think it's a great strategy for a talk show. Mm-hmm. And I think that he does talk that way to most of them, but there's some extra special sauce when it's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So I think he's a fan. But I assume we'll get some Unleashed footage, or I'm sure we'll get some promo around his thoughts about being on the show. So
yeah, I don't know when the season begins. Yeah.
I always enjoy just how incongruous his guests are. You'll have two people from Doctor Who and then some giant movie star like De Niro or Madonna or somebody sitting next to them. Like, and somehow it just works anyway. I got to give him credit. The guy is a good host.
Yeah.
Like, it may not be my cup of tea, but he's good at what he does. So
yeah, he bounces in between. I remember when Jodie Whittaker had her debut on there, and like it was the same as where like Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart were on there.
Yeah, like what
and
the hell?
They were just sucking all the oxygen out of the room, and I just felt like, come on.
Well, I mean, it's Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Say what you will about his movies; they're not great, but the guy is a charisma factory. I mean,
well, Kevin Hart was basically trying so hard to make some jokes land and didn't quite make it there at the expense of everyone else's appearance there. Doctor Who was on Jeopardy on this country. The Doctor Who segment, basically, Shooty Gatwa presented the 5 answers, questions, if you will, on screen. They're all about time travel. Time travel is possible was the category. All 5 questions were answered correctly, I believe, and but they were time travel themed, not necessarily Doctor Who themed. But the entirety of that whole segment is on YouTube and in the show notes on radiofreescaro.com. So that was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I haven't watched Jeopardy. I used to watch Jeopardy a lot, but then I felt like if I can't watch it all the time, I won't watch any of it, so I stopped watching.
Yeah, I stopped watching. It just became not conveniently in front of me.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
But I always liked it, though.
There's nothing wrong with it.
I liked proud Canadian Alex Trebek as host, too.
That's probably part of it, too. Although, didn't Maddie Roach, who's also a proud Canadian, didn't she either win a pile of money or guest host or both?
I don't know who that is, Warren.
Oh, she's now a podcaster on CBC. She does a book show, and she was on Canadaland, another Canada sop for all our Canadian friends. But but she was, I think, on Jeopardy and making a pile of money, and she's like 22 or 23 or something. Wow. She's kind of a wonderkind.
Gosh. Well, how about that?
And she was very open about being a lesbian on Jeopardy, which in Middle America, probably you can tell us about that or not, Heather, is something that you don't see very often.
Right.
So that kind of became less of a controversy and more of a cool thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't live in Middle America.
Thank God. Neither do we. Again, thank God.
True. Heather, you expressed reservations about the future of Doctor Who. Well, so did everyone else when Russell T Davies went on CBC Newsround of all places at the premiere. They had
not CBC,
CBBC, CBBC Newsround, where they did a report of the premiere of Doctor Who. And RT was going on about, I think Doctor Who was like reached the status of like Robin Hood. Let's think of the legend now. And then, if you look at it, they say, oh, because he, someday news round viewers will come back and they'll write Doctor Who episodes and everything like that. And everyone flipped out about it because they thought, oh my God, he's saying that like Doctor Who's going on for a long rest, which it might be going for a rest, yes. But also, if you watch that video, from which I'll show a file photo of Russell T Davies berating a waiter. It just goes.
This gazpacho is hot.
It just goes to show that like the interview itself was like there are at least 3 significant edits in there where I could tell that when he's talking about the news round viewers listening he is answering a different question, but they have put that section into there. They've edited that thing around to make it look like, which is weird because it's CBBC of all things, because it's a similar quote that I've heard him say in another interview, like that it's reached the legendary status. It's not something that he said that's new, basically, So I think a lot of yes, Doctor Who is facing uncertainty right now, but I don't think that you should just go off what was seen on that interview as, Doctor Who's going to be gone for another 20 years, and it's going to be up to kids to bring it back. I'm just sort of I don't know. Do you have either of you have any thoughts of what was said on that?
Since I got the news notes this morning, I did not watch it.
You didn't have to.
I just took it as doomsaying.
You didn't
the usual fans, myself included, going, "Oh, the show's doomed." Right. We always do that, and one day we'll be right. And we won't be happy about it. So this is just more fuel for the fire, I guess.
That's true.
So, Stephen, do you think that why do you think they edited it that way? Do you think he said something, they just wanted to up the tension and make it sound more controversial or something?
I don't know. I feel like they probably looked at the beats of what he was saying, and we have 3 minutes, the RTD comments total a grand total of 20 seconds of that entire video. And I think they just wanted, he said, oh, this is a good thing. Let's have that. And then let's have this as an exit, because you can kind of tell the rhythm changes in there. Whatever. TV, it's weird how it happens a lot more in TV, mostly for time constraints. And also because, when you're editing an interview, Warren, you know this, it's like in video, it just feels like, oh, wow, this is like 20 seconds and it's boring because nothing's happening.
Or they're umming and ahhing the whole time. Yeah. So that's when you see a reporter cut back and do this. Nodding.
That's covering it.
They did that after the fact, right? Because they're covering up and they're editing, but it's for time. It's not to. What you do as a journalist is you make sure that the intent is there, even if you're like covering up some technical thing. You're still getting the intent that they meant, right? You don't want to misrepresent them. And there was a controversy a while back because CTV News kind of screwed that up in a way up here with some quote, and then the conservatives just made hay out of it way past the point where they needed to. But most people don't understand how that works, right? So, and why should they? They're just watching TV, they don't have to know how it works, but. This reminds me of that. It's not quite the same thing, but it reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In other news, the Hugo Award finalists were announced for Seattle Worldcon 2025, and 73 yards, 73 yards, and Dot and Bubble are finalists for the Best Dramatic Presentation short form. They are up against, as I skim through this here, they are up against Fallout, the beginning. Obviously, probably the first episode of Fallout is up for. Directed by Wayne Yip. I didn't know that. Wayne Yip directed that.
It's a good episode, too.
It is a good episode.
Death's Hand in Mind, an episode of Agatha All Along, two Lower Decks episodes.
I was waiting for your reaction to that, Stephen.
Heather's happier about that than I am.
I'm not unhappy about it.
I'm balancing Steven's Star Trek.
As am I.
Right.
That's the one new Star Trek show I actually like. So.
Well, it's gone now.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone now.
I know.
So
all right, moving on.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Hugo's get presented in whatever Uncanny Magazine also, which Erica and I are a part of. Also,
woohoo!
Congratulations,
finalists yet again for the best semi-prosine. So
woohoo!
yeah, we will not be in Seattle though because of the current.
Yeah,
colonial global political
It
situation.
is super easy for me to go there. It's a 3-hour train ride. I was fully intending to go to, and now I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going.
Yeah.
God, that's not happening. Oh, yeah.
Some things to tell you about. So there's some radio appearances coming up, ostensibly, mostly from what I hear during the previous editions of these radio shows. But apparently, there's going to be a History of Doctor Who chat on the front row on BBC Radio 4 Extra on April 14th. I know this because they said it on the actual radio broadcast. But if you go to the actual link in the show notes, they're talking about J.M.W. Turner, which of course I keep looking at and going, John Nathan Turner? No, it's a different thing. It's a painter Turner.
That guy.
Yeah.
That nobody.
All I know about Turner is that one of his paintings is in front of the Ronnie's TARDIS and the Mark of the
I
Ronnie.
knew it. I knew there was going to be a Doctor Who. just shameless. Absolutely
I only know
shameless.
that from the production notes, all right?
You're actually blushing on the. I can see.
Yeah,
I can see the blushing on the webcam. That's
Bright
how
red.
intently you're blushing.
Why?
As red
Which
as
Doctor Who
the
actor is in
hockey.
that painting, Steve?
No, it's just a landscape, Warren. It's a volcano.
There's one in there somewhere, I'm sure. Cyril Shaps is hiding behind the volcano.
Anyway.
You are as red as your hockey shirts.
Yeah,
You really are.
the front row apparently is going to be talking about the history of Doctor. So they say themselves. Do not listen to what they say on the actual show notes. It might not be accurate. Also coming up on In Tune on BBC Radio 3 on April 17th. Murray Gold will be appearing to talk about how he ruins Doctor Who episodes with his over bombastic music. That's coming up on. I didn't like the music at the beginning of the episode. It reminded me of. Yeah, go ahead, Warren.
Well, this just reminds me of our friend, mutual friend Tom, who hosts The Moment.
Right.
He pointed out that while he's talking to Belinda, there's Gallifrey. The Gallifrey theme is underneath, and it sort of kind of sounds like the Gallifrey theme, but I don't think there's anything. I personally don't think there's anything beyond him just recycling his tunes.
I saw him,
but I could be wrong about that.
I saw him
Tom
say
could be
that,
right.
and I'd like. Do you remember what scene that was, Warren, at all? Because I sort of like.
Not off the top of my head, I remember rewatching it this morning, so it's in the first half because that's what I was watching before we started doing this.
It didn't quite ring a bell for me. I remember listening. I remember thinking I heard something, and then the second time
He's
I
explaining
watched
the time
it,
stuff, so I think so. It could be something to do with Gal, but why bring Gallifrey? Mashugana back.
I don't think he's bringing it back just because I know it's been,
But it's also one episode of 8, so who knows? I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway.
Mrs. Flood is Rassilon confirmed.
Well, we'll see about that. Probably not. We already have a Rassilon. He's already been there. Timothy Dalton's been Rassilon.
Yeah, 2 of them.
And then
we got the other old Rassilon,
Dalton
too.
Sumter, has been in there. So anyway, Murray Gold on BBC Radio 3 In Tune on April 17th. What is that, a Thursday or something like that? Also, for sure, though, Radio 2 loves Doctor Who. We talked about this last week, I think, but on April 20th, at midnight, ostensibly, according to this, on BBC Radio 2, 20 Secrets from 20 Years with Joe Wiley and Stefan Powell.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, of Doctor Who Unleashed fame will be there talking about Doctor Who. So,
do you guys know are those BBC radio things available post?
They are available worldwide, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
BBC Sounds app.
The app.
On the app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are podcasts, too, I think so.
Yeah. A couple Big Finish things to talk about. Warren, we can overanalyze Big Finish art.
Look at this cover here.
By the
that's fun.
Yeah,
that is a great cover.
And new, different.
Worlds of Doctor Who's Space Security Service, the Vord in London is where the Big Finish randomizer wound up here.
That is a sentence I can get behind. The Vord in London.
Yeah,
that's fun.
I want to point out the artwork, which is kind of like the silhouette of not
real 60s vibe.
Not Sarah Kingdom, but whoever Jane Slavin is playing, like the daughter of Sarah Kingdom, essentially, is now part of the Space Security Service from the Daleks Master Plan. But the artwork
iconic
here,
bandolier,
yeah, the artwork reminds me of. I wonder if I don't have a button handy, but of the artwork that Who Is the Doctor used, Graham Burke and Stacey Smith's, where just the black silhouette, and then an iconic thing about them being in white or something like that, and it kind of reminded me of that. Anyway. That is coming out when? October, April? May
No, I'd have to. Yeah,
I don't have my news listed from me. June 2025 coming from Big Finish.
There you go.
So there you go. Also coming from Big Finish, novelizations. Robert Shearman has novelized both The Chimes of Midnight and Jubilee. So Big Finish is actually publishing novelization of two of his iconic Big Finish plays. Those are
two of the most
beloved
Big Finish stories.
They are, yeah. Those are coming out in October. So there we go. That is from Big Finish. Some of our friends are even in the chat right now talking about all this stuff, but we'll plug some stuff from our friends. We're so happy that our good friends Neil Perriman and John Williams are back in the podcasting game with World of Telly, their brand new podcast. Where they basically talk about old telly. It's like hearing...
it was great.
Yeah, the first episode covers Moonbase 3,
which I now want to watch.
1973 six-part sci-fi series created by Barry Letts and Terrence Dix. Instead of making season 11 of Doctor Who, they decided to make this instead, essentially. They did both at the same time. Maybe both suffer for it. Who knows? But anyway, I loved hearing the conversation. So they're on all your podcast places and on YouTube and everything else. So that was pretty cool.
It's compared in the podcast to both the Sandbaggers and Space Star Cops. I'm like, all right, monotonous space bureaucracy is what they called it. I'm like, I'm here for it. And then I flipped to a random one because they're all on YouTube. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is full of CSO.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's great. I watched Moonbase 3 many years ago.
I've never seen it, and I think I'm gonna probably put it on and maybe fall asleep from the sounds of what they talked about. Yeah. But still, that's not bad. That's not entirely bad. Having something I just conk out to.
Has Big Finish ever made a Moonbase 3?
And why not?
And why not? You know, it's right there.
People want to know.
I don't know.
Our friends in chat might know.
That's true. And one of whom writes for Big Finish. So let us
just refer to this as a Space Baggers.
The Space Baggers,
which is great.
It's a great one. What else we got? Also, Jess Durkovic, who's not on the chat, so we don't have to mention everything. He's put out a great little audio documentary, a YouTube documentary about reuniting the Roman theme. Jess Durkovic, of course, famous for the Dudley Simpson as Doctor Who things, where he transcribed Dudley Simpson music as heard in Doctor Who episodes and then played them on piano. Superb. But he's also now sort of moved on to documentaries about music. He talked about different stock music and stuff in a previous edition, and now he's like basically the Roman theme that's heard in the War Games across 3 different episodes is actually one entire long piece that they cut up and used various bits, and he has reunited it all. And it's fascinating to see on the documentary, so it's cool.
Your interview with him was one of my favorite, I think, RFS episodes. So interesting, so good.
It's so good.
So good.
I see him all the time at conventions now. He's been at Gallifrey 1 for the past 3 years now, I think, and it's it's just great to talk about stuff and music like that. He knows his stuff.
He does a great job as a musician of articulating the craft and the art of what he's doing. Really beautifully in language that I can get. So yeah, he's fun.
He's a good communicator. Yep. And lastly, God, I talked about with Toby Haydock about this about 8 years ago? No, it wasn't 8 years ago, but a year and a half ago though. But finally, May the 12th sees the publication of the first volume of the Quatermass Experiment, the making of TV's first sci-fi classic. He's going to write a book about all the Quatermass in one book, but there was so much stuff that is basically now going to be 3 books, not unlike The Hobbit, except this is worth it. And the first one's coming out May the 12th.
That's a proper cover, let me tell you.
It looks
got real Penguin vibes.
Right, it does kind of a little bit there. So I'm looking forward to that. Having watched, as much as one can for the Quatermass Experiment, was broadcast live as they all were. But Heather, you have a comment.
I just have never watched the Quatermass Experiment, and
neither have I.
And I really, it's kind of what feels like one of those in the canon that you got to watch to have your full cred and know what you're talking about.
It's proto-Pertwee is what it is.
Yeah, so. Well, the first Quatermass, because they're all broadcast live. Quatermass Experiment was 1953. They telerecorded the first 2 episodes, but realized it wasn't working, so didn't bother with the rest of them.
So we don't have all of it then.
We don't have all of it.
That's a harbinger of things to come.
Yeah, all of Quatermass 2, also broadcast live in 1956. All of it's there. That is very much, I know this because Paul Cornell and Liz Miles' podcast, Telefantasy Time Jump, talked about this recently, about how like there are scenes which are basically shot-for-shot remakes in Spearhead from Space that are based on Quatermass 2. And then the big one is Quatermass of the Pit, which exists in full. It's on Blu-ray. It looked great. They have like a whole bunch of 35 millimeter inserts, which still exist. And so like it looks spectacular on the Blu-ray and stuff. And that is really, really good. And then I think that's it for and then they made film versions of it. They also made a live version in 2005, which David Tennant was in.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking of.
Which was in, and Mark Gatiss were in. And it was during that where Tennant was cast as the next Doctor, and so he only told a select few people, one of which is Mark Gatiss, who during the broadcast, the live broadcast, I think there's like, oh, it's good to have you back, Watson, or whatever his character name was, but Mark Gatiss said, it's good to have you back, Doctor. It's a little hat tip.
Nice.
He's going to be Doctor Who, So there you go. That is, and there was also a film too, as Neil Perriman points out, 79. There were films and stuff like that. The original BBC, the stuff that you're going to spot proper Doctor Who actors, the stuff that looks like it's shot on videotape. Damn it, that's the original 3 that are on.
Thank you for that.
There you go.
Listen, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Anyway, next time, that's it for our news. Next time, of course, next weekend. We don't know when our live stream is going to be, but we'll let you know. Mr. Ring-a-Ding appears in Doctor Who.
He just looks so happy to be evil, and I kind of love him for it.
In Lux. We'll figure it out. Chris will be back from Nova Scotia to talk about that. But Heather, been great to have you on your first proper Doctor Who review episode. So thanks for showing up.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Indeed.
Total
Thank
honor.
you.
Love chatting with you always.
Yeah. Tell us about Free the Squee. Plug your podcast as we head out here.
Thanks. Free the Squee we're about a year old. Me and my co-host, Dr. Stacey Watnick. It's a queer feminist exploration of the intersection of psychology and pop culture. And mostly we're just very silly and talk about all the stuff we love. And occasionally we drop a little psychology in the mix. So super fun. We're a member of the Incomparable Network. So you can find us at theincomparable.com or freethesquee.com. Right. Yeah. Yes.
Or at the link in the show notes, because we put it in there for you.
Link in the show notes. Thank you, friend.
You betcha. Yeah. All right, kids, that's it. Thanks, everyone on the live stream who tuned in for this, too. You can find all of our episodes, obviously, wherever you listen to your podcasts or watch them. We're at radiofreeskaro.com. So in the meantime and in between time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Heather in San Diego.
So long for now.